right, so now we need to actually make our ball move. So let's go to our BP player ball. And before we actually do that though, I want to take this mapping that we did earlier. I'm going to select all of the parts of it and drag it up. Then I'm going to press the C button. With all of them selected still, I'm going to press C. This adds a comment. And you can write in the comment here, well, let's have it say, bind the input mapping. Now this comment is there to give you a hint as to what you just did or what's in there. And you can click and drag the whole comment around, and then it moves everything that's inside of it around as well. This is really useful for organizing our code because our code's going to get a little crazy without this stuff. So we can do that. You can actually even change the color of your comment by having it selected and go over here to the comment color, and you can pick a different color. It's for binding, and it's not really that useful, that important. Like we won't be doing that much. So let's go ahead and make it kind of a darker gray, just kind of make it more subdued. And there we go. All right, now back with our IA role, we have it set where when we trigger a input, it just prints out what that is. We don't need that. Let's go ahead and print out, delete the string and the conversion node. And for my input action IA role, there's this little arrow here. I'm going to click on that. That expands all the different settings that we can use with it. The first one is triggered. Triggering occurs often or after one or more processing ticks. So every tick, it will trigger that input. Started means it's only right when you press it for the first time. Ongoing is the opposite. So this is saying if you're pressing hold something down, when you cancel, you're triggering. So when you let go of the button, it'll let you cancel whatever you're doing by holding. And then completed says once you actually fully let go of the button. Then we have our action value. Because our input action is a vector 2D, it gives us a vector 2D. Then we have elapsed seconds, so this is how many times that we've held the button down or whatever. And then our input action itself. So you can like disable it if you wanted to. I want to worry about action value. I'm going to right click this and I'm going to split struct pin because I want my X and Y separate. Then I'm going to hide all that extra stuff. I don't need it. We want our player to move based on physics-based motion. So we want to basically push our player ball and have it roll because that's what balls do. So we are going to actually need to do a angular impulse. So we need to add angular impulse. So from triggered, I'm going to drag that out here, and I'm going to do add angular impulse in degrees. And I want it to be for the sphere collider. So pay attention to which one you're working with. Add angular impulse in degrees sphere collider. There we go. So this is going to add an angular impulse. Basically push, roll, let it roll. But what are those values going to be? That's kind of a problem. We got to figure out how to get the proper direction to push things in, right? Our player ball, when we push it, we don't want to only ever push it in one direction. We want to push in the direction that the ball's already rolling and then modify it a little bit, or make sure we put it in the direction, push it in the direction, rather, that the ball will go in the direction for the keys that we press. So it's not as simple as just adding in a impulse. We need to add the impulse in the right direction. So first thing we need to do here is we're going to right click and we'll do get control rotation. We're going to get the current rotation of our controller. So where are we looking at? Where are we pointing at? Then we're going to right click and we'll do get right vector. And we're just going to connect these together. So we're going to right click return value, split struct pin in our control rotation. And our right vector will right click split struct pin. And for this, we only care about X and Z. So we're going to connect X to X and Z to Z. Unfortunately, that's not going to be enough because we need to define our speed, like how fast we're going to roll. So I'm going to make a new variable here. I have the little plus button there. And I'll call this roll speed. The type I will set to a float. And I'm going to hit this little I button. This makes it so it'll show up in the blueprint so we can always modify this easier later. We can then go ahead and hit compile and save. And now we can get our roll speed. So I'm going to drag roll speed out and click get. I want to take our action value X. I want to multiply it by our roll speed. Because our controller only ever gives a value of 1 or -1 or whatever, it never goes higher than 1. And a force of 1 isn't enough. So we need to increase the force or the speed that it can roll by multiplying it. We then are going to multiply that value we just made. So we'll do multiply times the current vector. Now, I will do a video a little bit later on about vector addition, multiplication, and all that stuff. But for now, let's just kind of get it up and running. I'll then take our value that we made here, and I'm going to add that to the add angular impulse in degrees. So that is one direction. So I'm going to drag that up there, and I'm going to actually select all of this, or I'm going to rearrange this a little bit just to kind of clean it up. All right, so with that cleaned up a little bit, I'm going to select this code that we just made here. I'm going to press C. And this is going to be our forward and back movement. And we actually have one more thing we got to do here. Instead of our angular impulse in degrees, we need to click velocity change and turn that on because we want this to ignore the mass of our ball. That way we get a more consistent kind of movement pattern. Then I'm going to go to BP player ball, and for roll speed, I'm going to set this to 20. Play compile and save. Test it out. Press play, press W, my ball rolls. And so does the camera. It's a great way to get dizzy. And if I press S, if I go back, it rolls backwards. Now the camera thing we'll fix a little bit later, but let's get left and right going first. And in fact, we've already done most of the work for that. I'm going to select everything that's inside of this comment. I'm going to Control C and Control V. Move this over. I'm going to change the comment here to left and right. I'll connect our add angular impulse degrees from forward, back to left and right. Connect that there. And now we just need to modify exactly what we're rotating in which direction. So I'm still going to need get control rotation, but I don't need get right vector. I'm going to delete that. Instead, what I need is get forward vector. I'll split that pin. And then I just care about Z here. I will connect that here to this multiply node. Now I just need to get the input from way over here. And all I have to do is click from here and drag all the way. So the input, the action value Y, and drag all the way over there. So that way it multiplies that by the roll speed and sets our impulse and all that stuff. Cool. One quick thing though, this is going to bug me. I hate that this does this. One of the issues with Blueprint that I always find is it's really hard to keep track of things, and you have lines that like cross over each other, and it's kind of annoying. So I'm going to select the input action value Y. I'm going to click the line. It's kind of hard to hover over it, but you hover over the line itself and double click. This will make a little node. If I hover the mouse over the orange part there, I can drag that down. That line's still connected, but I can basically add in a node for our line, so I can organize it and make it a little bit easier to see. Right. I'm going to add in another one here and drag that down so that lines up. And I'm going to add in another one here and drag that over. This way I can see clearly where everything goes. And that just makes this a lot neater. Compile and save. Now that step wasn't entirely necessary, but it's useful to keep your code and your stuff organized. All right, let's go into our game and test this out. So if I go press A or left, I roll left. If I press D or right, I roll right. If I press forward, I roll forward. And if I press S, I roll back. Obviously, the camera rotating like it is an issue, but we'll fix that. We'll do that in the next video. This video is already pretty long, so we'll leave this here and we'll work on the camera next video. Thanks.